Hey, welcome to The Driven. I didn't actually explain why I changed some of the information I had on social media, and I wanted to kind of do so. The reason that the logo, or not the logo, but the image on my social media shows a burning boat is because that's basically how I decided to take on this year. Just burn the boats, leave nothing to chance. Once you land on the beach, you got nowhere to go but down the beach and up the hill. That drives me, that makes me feel like I want to get up in the morning. And chamber break was just specifically for shooting. And honestly, as you know, I didn't do a lot of posting of any of the shooting I've done, in large part because I absolutely despise video editing. It just drives me insane. And I would spend hours and hours editing a video. And as the algorithms changed and whatnot, I might get 1, 2, 3, 4 views. And most of you know that you see mostly ads and things like that anyway on your social media anymore. You don't actually see anything to do with real people. And then when you add AI to it, you see even less, which I mean, I recently did a post not too long ago about how much of the information you're looking at is AI, and I'm going to say it's probably upwards now of around 75, maybe even 80%. I think it was around 50 on the last video I did. But regardless, what we're going to call it is The Driven. 2015 was 2025 was an absolute terrible year for me, a disaster. Personally, nothing happened, didn't have any relationship issues, but I didn't really do anything that I felt was worthy of getting up in the morning. And the last time I had a year like that was 2014, just the beginning of 2015. At the time I was full-time employed in construction, and that was a miserable year. Probably still the top year, but last year wasn't much better. I just look back and say, you know, I really didn't accomplish much, didn't do much, didn't go anywhere, didn't seem to have any time. And as you know, if you've listened to my videos, I believe time is the only thing in life that you control. It does not control you. You let it control you. I just didn't seem to have any time to do anything that I enjoyed doing. And so The Driven is just basically my purpose to get back on my purpose, motivate people, inspire people. I did some speaking last year and things of that nature, but finished construction on a 6,000 square foot addition on our church. And beyond that, I really didn't pull off a whole lot of things that I felt were worthy of getting up in the morning. And I don't need to do accomplishments for your affirmation or your likes or for my own personal need. And I'm absolutely against that when people do that. When they need to be affirmed by their own accomplishments, therefore they are worthy of something. I could care less whether I'm worthy of your affirmation or anyone else's affirmation. And that actually was, it wasn't always the case for a very long time. I cared more about what people thought of me than I cared about my own personal goals in life. And I've eliminated all of those more than a decade now, or maybe a decade, I don't know. It was a point in time when God actually met me on the side of the road, literally on the side of the road, because I was in road construction. And I walked away from a lot of those things about caring what people thought. And then I went on to the shooting and shot throughout, as most of you know if you follow my content, the country and whatnot. But anyway, so The Driven is about being driven. And that's what drives me, is that I enjoy being driven. I enjoy doing new things. I enjoy learning is fun, but I enjoy creating, because I cannot find people to create things or have created things that I envision in my mind. And I've had to basically create most everything I wanted, from my computer setups to my targets. I have them custom made, because people do not have or make what I want, or they recharge some ridiculous price that I can have fabricated cheaper. And so I love creating. I created all my gun racks. I created a lot of my guns, as you guys know, they're custom. And enjoy doing that sort of thing. I've also been tinkering on, with computers since I was 9 or 10. TRS-80 was my first computer, and I wrote my first program when I was 10. And it was just a dot matrix printer. It would print out text. And I'm not even a computer programmer. In fact, I'm terrible at it. Ramian Dar was my professor in computer science in Ohio State, and he'd probably say I was one of the worst students he ever had. I have lots of ideas, but I couldn't create. So I've had to learn basically everything along the way to create the things that I like to do. And I love to create. More than I like to learn, I love to create. That's why I love construction. I love computers. I don't love programming, but I love seeing what they can do, things like that. And I love shooting, and I love creating targets. I love shooting ranges, creating ranges, things like that. But along the lines here with the Driven, so that you kind of know where we're going, is that I'm going to be posting a little bit more content this year. I've made a dedication to do that, picking up kind of where I left off. I had quite a bit of content, like 3 hours worth of content that I lost recently of me talking. If you don't want to hear me talking, then please subscribe. If you do, then subscribe and share so that others can subscribe and share as well. Anyway, because that's really what makes the world go round. But so I'm going to be doing more of just a diverse content, maybe some more talking, giving you my opinion. And it seems that people like to listen to me sometimes. And again, if you don't want to listen to me, that's fine. Share it with somebody who also might not like listening to me. Anyway, along the way, I will be hopefully trying to shoot some more, do a few things that I have on that. But as I said, my time is very limited in a lot of different ways. So that's the Driven. We're burning the boats. We've got nowhere to go. Soon we have nothing. No income, nothing. No family, nothing. And you just kind of build from square one. And then what you have, the moments you have with your family, with your friends, with what you're doing today, you're creating from scratch. In other words, starting over. And I believe people should start over maybe every year, maybe every month. I don't know. Because what you're doing isn't really working. And after you persevere for a while, maybe it's time to build on your knowledge that you've learned through the mistakes and move on. People are afraid of failure only because they're afraid of what people will think if they're a failure. I enjoy failure. I believe that you learn through failure. And I believe that if you aren't failing, then you didn't try. And if you didn't try, then you're not driven. And I want you to be driven to something. And it doesn't have to be what I do, but just use what I do to be inspirational if necessary. I'm available for public speaking at any one time. And so my goal this year for the Driven is to release a new creation or something, accomplishment of some kind every month, at least one every month. It's going to be very challenging because I tend to raise the bar pretty high every time I accomplish something. I don't really want to go back and do it again twice. I do like some things twice, but I like to keep pushing the envelope and keep creating something new. So in that event, what many of you don't know is that I am a triple board certified naturopathic health practitioner. I have a family business, been in our family for 40 years, and in the passing of my grandmother 5-6 years ago, slowly began to take that business over and use my certifications to do private consults, basically like a medical professional, even though I'm not medical. It's all natural health for women's health and hormones. It's called Magnolia Health. You can look it up here on Facebook or YouTube or Instagram. I'll probably put a link below for Magnolia Health. And the first thing I released this year was an app called Magnolia Pathways, which uses AI that I created a model that you can take your data, your information, not your data, and you can ask a question. And that model will use our database at Magnolia Health, which is well over 1,000 documents that I've compiled and put together on various health issues. A lot on hormones, a lot on women's health, because that is my specialty here at Magnolia Health. And this will allow you then to ask a question, and it will give you back relevant information to support those things and use information to guide you in your health journey. Now, it says on the website, magnoliahealth.app is where you can find it, and magnoliahealth.com is my practice. But the app allows you to narrow down to specific information that's been vetted by those that supposedly have information or knowledge that they've used, either through my clientele or what I've compiled myself. Getting rid of the rubbish, getting rid of just the Google search. And the worst part about AI models, and you'll probably hear a lot about AI modeling as I do my videos, is that they give you the entire knowledge base of whatever they collected their data from. Their data was collected from the entire internet, basically. In the case of Grok, which is owned by XAI, which also owns formerly Twitter, they used Twitter to get their information. Google obviously used their Google database. Facebook is using their Facebook database, and that's where they get their knowledge. Well, the problem is you have 14 different opinions on one topic for every single thing you ask. And then you'll find 14 different scientific methods or scientific protocols or something that proves the point of whoever is writing it. And to be honest, it might work for one person or two people, but it won't work for 50 people or 100 people or 1,000 people. Now, if you have millions and millions of people who follow a protocol, you're going to get some successes and a whole lot of failures. That's really what I've learned in my health practice. And at this point, I've seen a significant number of clients, the majority of which have been women because that is my specialty, but I see men as well for various health issues, everything from severe to just people that want to biohack, which is a big part of my own personal life, is trying to figure out how to hack the human body to get the most performance out of it. We honestly weren't supposed to live past 58 years of age, but science and medical, I guess the industry, has given us the ability to live longer than our bodies really are capable of doing. And if you tweak the body and you have a lifestyle you want to live, then you can at least try to live longer, healthy as possible, instead of the last 10 years being in a decrepit state. We're all going to die 100% of the time. 100% of us are going to die. But if we can extend the life we live during this life, then that's the positive. So that's really what Magnolia Health's about. But in January, and I didn't get this video out in time, for my January release, it was called magnoliahealth.app, or Magnolia Pathways is its actual brand name. And you log in, pay a subscription fee, and then you can ask an assortment of questions. This is good for personal as well as, but primarily for practitioners, even dentists, chiropractors, even medical professionals that are skew on the health side. Most medical are prescription based only, and therefore they just want to give you some medicine that costs way too much for its own good. But anyway, you can ask questions and get data that's pertinent to your life. And it doesn't have everything in there, but I'm constantly updating the data. I created the entire thing myself and continue to tweak it and continue to get it to a place that I enjoy. But feel free to share this with a medical professional, probably not in the medical professional itself, but I guess any kind of natural health practitioners especially. They could use it for their staff. It's not there to diagnose anything. It's just there to give advice for somebody to then be able to support their clients in a healthier lifestyle. But individuals can do it as well. It's only $5 a month. There's a 3-day trial. And that's kind of the model I've at least currently built. Now, each and every month after this, including February, I'll have releases of all sorts of things. I have plans to write not several, but maybe at least a couple more books. I already have some. And then I'm also have a complete model built and in the testing right now for a construction app. So those are some of the things that I'll be doing, and I would like to do some shooting, maybe get to a match or two this year. I haven't really figured it out. Not really sure what condition my guns are in because the high performance guns that we shoot for match take a significant amount of money to maintain the level of precision that they are. So anyway, you might see some of that. I would like to do that, but I'm doing everything on my own. And so that's just kind of where we are. I am terrible at video editing. I absolutely hate it, as I said before. Marketing and me get along about as good as, I can't think of anything as bad as marketing and me, see? So I believe that there really are only 4 primary skills that you need in life. And you can adjust these to business and things like that. But one of those skills is sales and marketing. I lump the two together, even though some people separate them. But some people can sell the blown tires off a bus to a blind man, and the blind man will be happy with the sale. I really couldn't do anything like that. I couldn't even probably sell a Ferrari to somebody because I know all the problems that Ferraris can have, or Lambos, or anything like that. No matter how good it is, I'm going to always want to be ultra honest, and that's both a flaw and I guess a strength, as I'm told. But I tend to tell the truth too much, and salespeople tend to look at the gray area and say, they didn't ask, so I don't have to tell them. That's just not me, and I've never really done well in sales, even though I was in sales for a long time as a stockbroker, and it's one of the reasons that I absolutely just struggled with the job. I enjoyed the finance, the business. That's one of my primary skills, is there. But the actual sales and marketing is not it. So anyway, I'm creating things that I want to do. I'm creating an app for my practice. I see clients regularly throughout every week, both virtually and in person in Saline, Ohio. And I wanted an app that I could actually lean on if necessary. Even though it is my own knowledge, you're dealing in natural health, you're never specified like ear, nose, and throat or heart surgeon or anything like that. We basically see everything under the sun. And when it comes to women hormones, which is kind of having its rave in the day type thing, on the internet, they are diverse, and every woman is extremely unique, no matter what age she is. I have them from, I think the youngest I've seen is 7, and the oldest I've seen is 89. So client-wise, that's pretty wild. So I wanted to create something that I saw a problem, and the problem is knowledge, and the problem is accurate knowledge. Just like the AI problem that we're having on the internet, it's absolutely insane how much false information comes out. How methylene blue, for example, if you've heard about it at all, it'll probably pop up in all your ads now that I said this, if you've heard it this far. It comes up and everybody talks about it being the greatest thing ever, and then it goes to nitric oxide, and then it goes to something else. And it's stuff we've been using in natural health for, in some cases, thousands of years. But it's just now having a rave in the day, I guess is what I want to call it. But I wanted to narrow it down to the actual accuracy information, stuff that actually works, because all these fads just blow off and blow on by as the algorithm goes on by and you do a lot of research. I love it. My clients come in, they're like, I've done a lot of research. And I'm like, YouTube and Facebook. They are great places to find good information, but you got to wade through all the junk. And right now with AI, people are creating stuff and just copy and pasting from somebody else. It's not actually original. They're not actually doing anything. And I don't even post any sources, and that would just enrage people because I don't post sources. And the truth of the matter is, I can take any source and basically manipulate it to whatever I want it to be. So anyway, I was in construction for 14 years, part-time the last year, and then started working in this natural health as well as farming. That's my other thing that I do. I farm with my brother and my dad, called MEC Ag Systems, and over here in Northwest Ohio. And then I do the natural health, and now I'm developing AI apps, not really for myself, but since I was in construction so long, I managed a significant number of employees and a whole lot of work, several hundred jobs. Most of them were $250,000 to $4 or $5 million. And so that led me down a place of seeing a lot of problems. And even in 15, 16 years ago when I started that job, they were still using faxes, which I think faxes should have been eliminated in 1989, and everybody should have went out like with Office Space and just hammered them all. They're absolutely useless tool in my opinion. One of the biggest security flaws of all time is a fax machine. And then, when I got there in the construction industry, they were still using faxes and didn't even use emails. Nobody had anything. And when I started the job, I was 99% remote from my vehicle. Took me almost 10 years to get to a place where every document we had coming in was scanned. That's a problem. Well, there were also lots of other problems in the industry. Project managers being one. They get paid a significant amount of money to basically shuffle papers and make a few phone calls, and then the guys in the field do all the work. Not that PMs are bad, but PMs should be able to work and do a lot more than they do, but they're often bogged down by bureaucratic red tape, which is basically my middle name at my job. I just handle red tape. And so I'm creating an app to do that. I had to be able to compile information. And so if you've gotten this far, AI is actually not a terrible weapon or a terrible tool in its generality. It's going to be used as that, yes. It already has in many cases, especially when they're using drones to identify, the enemy and whatnot, especially facial recognition in a drone, and then it determines whether to kill you or not. That yes is all there. But AI is actually just an information monster. It's able to take vast amounts of information, narrow it down to what you need, or find what you need at an accelerated pace. That's where you can exponentially increase your own knowledge base because you use it as a tool. Everything should be used as a tool, okay? But man is always going to use it for evil. That's just kind of the way it is. But anyway, so I use AI. I've been in AI now for several years. I think I posted many years ago one of my certifications from IBM for that, which has long past been circumvented by the fact that AI basically doubles in its ability about every month. Now that will slow down over time if you've ever looked at the bell curve of knowledge gain. And so there'll be an exponential growth, and then there'll be not really an exponential decrease, but there'll be a diminishing rate of returns after every release of every type of AI, of which I use everything from my own AI. I created my own server and had that set up for about a year, in which it was all unregulated. It was open source. And so I could ask it any question and it would give me any answer that I wanted. And it's really the only way to use AI. Unfortunately, when you have AI from the powers that be, the big companies, they basically live in their woke world. And I know that I offend many of you when I use that term, and so that's why I use it on purpose. So once again, feel free to non-follow me, since you've accused me before when I use that term. But that is a legitimate term. And I'll go down a rabbit trail some other day on what wokeism is. But the reality is, if you ask AI, help me take over the world, even in jest, 3 out of the 4 will tell you that you're in violation of their standards, whether you're joking or not. It's not like you're asking to make a bomb. You just want to take over the world, I think there was an entire cartoon about that, which has probably been banned. Pinky and the Brain, I think it was. And so you can't even ask it hilarious questions. And it'll just come back with you're in violations of our terms. Forget talking about firearms or guns or knives or anything like that. All of that crap has been eliminated. And 3 out of the 4 basically tell you you're the greatest thing that ever walked the earth. And as we know, that's not true, including myself. But that's every time you ask a question, you've got this, you're so good. And that's why people are now addicted to AI, because they like talking to it, because it tells them how great they are. Anyway, so one of the models doesn't do that. If you ask it to take over the world, it'll say, sign me up. And if you had my personal AI, it would say, here's 10 steps to do that. Now, some of them might be nefarious, but at the end of the day, I despise anything that it doesn't allow me to have freedom. But if you allow man to have freedom, he's just going to go out and ruin it. It's called the flesh, if you know much about Christianity and the spiritual realm, because that's really what we live in. We live in a world where evil is always going to be turned into bad. Even when you look at the left side of the party lines, some of their ideas, in principle, like helping the poor, things like that, are good. But then who is poor? Helping the disabled, of which I am considered one. They take it, and then it becomes, well, your eye itches and therefore you're disabled because some doctor signed off on the dotted line, and now you're going to get paid disability payments and SNAP payments and all this other stuff, and you really just have an itchy eye because, well, you don't take care of your liver. That's my health side. But anyway, at the end of the day, that's what AI is. It's an information gathering tool, and if you use it for information, then you're going to be empowered by it. If you're going to try to create some false illusion of who you are, then you're going to become a false illusion in your own mind and basically walk around in your head in the sky, unable to communicate with other human beings. Now, I do converse with my AIs because they give me the information that I need at an accelerated pace. I didn't create an AI app, basically, on my own. I had to use that knowledge base. Otherwise, I'd still be doing basically the very model, the very beginning of the model. So anyway, that's what the Driven is about. We're going to be driven this year to try and release, or at least accomplish, something that I feel is new or at a high level 12 times this year. And that's going to be a real burden. So the first thing was my AI app, which I've been working on the idea for a very, very long time. For me to be in health, natural health, it actually had a purpose. It wasn't just to take over a family business. It actually, because back when I was in my late teens, I had an idea of something that I wanted to do, but I didn't have a lot of health knowledge. Now, I grew up around this business, and I grew up around having health practitioners that were both my grandparents and then her siblings. It's been a family heritage of ours, and my mother operated a business for a long time in this very industry. But I actually wanted to learn more about the human body because of one of the major goals that I have in life, one of those pie in the sky things, top 10 things that are, if you remember, I think in some of my videos, I had a list of 101 things I wanted to do before I died. And I had accomplished all but 11 by the time I was 23. Now, one of them on there is mine the moon. Probably not going to happen. They're going to beat me to that, unfortunately. So some of those are completely unrealistic, but that's the whole point of the list. If you're going to do something before you die, I don't like to call it a bucket list. because a bucket list is usually attainable. The list of things you do before you die are going to have a significant number that are really, really hard to do. One of them was to shoot 1,000 yards. I accomplished that finally. Let's see. Man, I can't remember how long ago that was. But it took me a long time to get there. I couldn't hit the broadside of a barn when I was 18. I couldn't shoot 200 yards at all. And when I was 35, I couldn't shoot 500 yards. I have 5-gallon buckets of brass trying to hit 500-yard targets, 400-yard targets. And now I don't even like to start at less than 400 or 500. And then I shoot out. My favorite to shoot is 800 to 1,000. I just enjoy that distance. I don't like 600 much. 400 is great, but 600 is never a big fan of mine. But I really enjoy shooting 1,000, 1,500, 1,700. That just was my thing, and that's what I shot professionally in. But at the end of the day, I wanted to shoot 1,000 yards. And then when I accomplished that, then I had no idea I was going to shoot 5,280 yards. 5 times that amount. But that's been part of my life and part of the blessing of my life. Most everything that I've ever done, I ever accomplished, was done probably at 5 times whatever I asked for. And so one of the goals I had when I was in my late teens on that list is to do something pretty innovative and crazy, really, when you think about it. But most things are crazy, and then somebody does them and they're no longer crazy. But I need a lot of health knowledge to do that. So it has nothing to do with women's health and hormones. That just happens to be the specialty I chose because it was a demographic that's been grossly mismanaged by the medical industry. It's having its fame now and claim, there's going to be a lot of money poured into women's health, and women have become a profit center to just leech money off of them for their health. But at the end of the day, if it's not done in a wise way, then they're really just kind of shooting in the dark. They can take all the supplements they want, and they just end up eating basically money. That's what I tell them. I do sell a full line of supplements. But anyway, so that's something I've been doing for several years now. magnoliahealth.app, if you know somebody that's in need of some natural health procedures, or not procedures, but a pathway in which we prepare a plan to make the body re-energize the body so that it heals itself. And if you're interested in the app, which is my first release for the year 2026, 12 releases, is magnoliahealth.app. And that app, again, you type in a console, questions, health related, and it's going to give you back natural health related answers. And it's not going to give you prescriptions. It's not going to diagnose your problem or tell you what's wrong with you, but it's there as a guide, because that's what AI is for. And it's there in a specific way so that you're not just going out to Gemini or ChatGPT and saying, hey, I got this, and then you come back with a bunch of answers, but they're inaccurate. That's the big problem. There's a lot of inaccuracy. And if I went deep in the weeds on AI, I could tell you all the ways that they're inaccurate. Forget any of the conspiracy theories about it tracking you or things like that. But anyway, so check that out. Natural health. I do iridology. I do face reading, tongue reading. All these are Chinese medicines. I do a little bit Ayurvedic in it, but I don't do a lot of homeopathy. I can do that. I'm trained in that. I do reading of your fingernails, as I said, iridology, the tongue also, your skin. And then I also have a computer scanner called a Zyto scanner that allows us to read the biometric waves of certain organ systems and see if they're in need of support. So that was my first release of the year, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the Driven and what we're going to be doing. I'd like to do a truck talk every Tuesday. I'm not sure whether I'll be able to pull that off or not. I like the truck talk concept. And just talk about the world and things of that nature. Again, if you don't like hearing me talk, fine. I know a tremendous amount of podcasters who have incredible content, who have about 14 followers. And they are professional. They have lots of cameras, lots of great technology, probably even paid to have their videos edited. And nobody follows them. The algorithm doesn't like them. People don't like listening to them. But at the end of the day, if you want to come along and be driven yourself, if you want to hear about my journey and what I'm accomplishing or what I'm doing, even at my advanced age, I guess I'm not advanced, but then feel free to follow and feel free to see what we can accomplish together. I'm going to ask you the same questions. I still believe forward forever, backward never. For those that have heard me, I will post some shooting content. Hopefully that if I can figure out a way to do that in a much more time convenient way, because it takes a lot of time. I spend a lot of time in app development, a lot. I spent a lot of time just in doing the books, doing the finances of the businesses that I currently own and run or co-own with some of my family. I'm also heavily involved in the church. As I said, we built a 6,000 square foot addition, kind of rebuilt it, basically tore it down and started over due to some poor construction long before I was ever around. I didn't really post anything regarding that. That was a journey in and of itself last year. But the building came out great, and God did awesome things. I'll also be talking quite a bit more about my journey with the Lord and my faith in general. And if that bothers you, then oh well, what can I say? It's something I believe, and whatever you believe is great. The only thing that I don't believe is acceptable is if you want to kill me, then we better line up. Because some religions are that way. And if that's a problem for you, then so be it. If you want to scream and yell at me because your religion is better than mine, then that's not a discussion. I want to have a discussion with an intelligent person who has an intelligent answer. And an intelligent answer is not, I know best because I want freedom. Freedom over my body, or freedom over my soul, or freedom over my this or that. I didn't say you couldn't have freedom. I didn't make any laws. And I'm not a big fan of making laws that say you can't. But once you start to say that I can't, and therefore laws need to be done against me, now I have a problem. That's the simple math. We can't have a conversation because if I disagree with you, then you want to impose upon me an act of violence to stop me from doing what I'm doing, then that's a problem. Now, do I think that some freedoms are detrimental to society? Yeah, I do. Immigration. Why does it exist at all? But we're all immigrants. Well, yeah, I know. So in 1855, my family, one of my lines of my family, bought some property south of here. And so what? I don't really care. But you're coming in here and giving our economy a boost, or you're coming in here because we should be free. The world should be free to come and go as they please. I'm just going to say real simply, 200 AD to 450 AD, study any history, and you'll see exactly where America's probably going to end up. If we don't stop that, because that's exactly what happened. History always repeats itself. The Bible likes to say that nothing new is under the sun, and I believe that absolutely. Culturally, history-wise, just repeats itself. Ooh, man, I should have turned that off. Man is always going to be the same. Always will be the same. So anyway, I'm speaking next week. I don't know, 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks. I'm not really sure, to be honest with you. I'm going to be speaking at a co-op, teaching on AI for the first half and the spiritual gifts for the second half. I am a charismatic, even though I do go to a Pentecostal church, and I know that just alienated a whole bunch of you. Once again, that's the way it is. I've been born again since I was 5 years old. I'm an old dude. So that's the way it's going to be. And if you don't like it, I can't help that. Thinking about maybe writing some books on that. I've got a couple started. I started books quite a bit, 25, probably older than that. And I didn't like them. I actually have an autobiography up through the age of, I want to say 25 maybe, that's so badly written that I don't even know if AI could fix it. It's so badly written that I had a friend edit it, and it never got finished because I don't think they could get through it. So anyway, that's kind of one of them fun things to do. I also put my grandfather, who's now deceased, he's been deceased I think 8 or 9 years now. I put all of his readings from 1984 on tape. I put them, digitized them, and put them on YouTube because he's somebody that should be remembered. And that took me forever, especially on tape, finding an old tape deck. I had one really nice. I can't remember what I paid. I think I wanted to pay $200 or $300 35 years ago. I had a huge stereo system. Could shake the floors of my dorm room. Actually got several times, got reprimanded by the RAs because I would shake too many floors with my stereo system. That was what I gave myself as a gift to go to college. But anyway, the tape deck quit working. I know why now, but I had to find another tape deck, do all that. But I did do that, and I might even put that on my face, on my website. If you noticed, I put the Novotos.com website back in I don't know, a few weeks ago. And that's just going to be where I outline all of the things that I am currently working on or doing and then I release. If there's a video, it'll be on the YouTube section called The Driven. It used to be on Chamber Break. I used to have a website. I still have it called chamberbreak.com. I think I still have it. Maybe I don't. I don't remember. I haven't looked at it in a while. And that was just basically to show my shooting and what I did. But now it's just all going to be on Novotos, and that's just kind of an entity. I'm having anything because I am going to be, releasing these apps for sale. So the money goes through Novotos. But you'll be able to find a lot of stuff on Novotos.com. And that the meaning of that the word Novotos actually has meaning. I created that 10 or 15 years ago, and I've kept it basically just under wraps. I've always owned the URL for a very, very long time. At least 10 or 15 years I've owned that URL, the web address is what it's called. But so there you go. That's what I've been doing. I farm. Obviously, you're not farming in the dead of winter when it's 10 degrees outside. Do the books, got taxes, that sort of thing. Been working on that. And then I'm a natural health practitioner. Multiple certifications of all sorts. You can imagine. I sell several different product lines: Nature Sunshine, Pure Herbs, Pure Encapsulations, and Standard Process. I am certified to sell Nature Standard Process. So if you're interested in that, that's magnoliahealth.com. If you're looking at the app, it's magnoliahealth.app. Novotos, NAVODOS.com, which is so all be below. If you want to see just kind of what I've been doing and where I'm going and where I'm posting. I'm going to be posting most everything on The Driven. YouTube and Facebook really has limited videos, kind of changed their entire model. And so I'll be posting that. So I highly recommend that you go over to that and follow me on Facebook, Aaron Meese, The Driven, versus Aaron Meese, just my friend page. I hate the friend page. I have 4 or 5,000 friends, and it limits you out, and it's very restrictive. And so definitely go over there. I'll just be forwarding or sharing everything from The Driven to Aaron Meese. And if you got any questions or comments or interested in me speaking, definitely look me up there on Novotos.com and reach out to me. If you got anything you want to see me do, I remember one guy wanted to see me eat spaghetti. He was kind of a snarky dude. He shot with me, not really with me, but he shot in my circles. And a lot of people didn't like the guy. He was kind of hard to handle. But yeah, he'd say things like that, like, dude, I want to see you eat spaghetti. And I'm like, come on, man, I'm not like some clown that you paid to go to the circus. Or not the circus, but the fair. When I was young, went to the fair and saw the bearded lady or the giant person or whatever, or the, half horse, half man thing. We paid to see those things when I was young. Anyway, so that's kind of where we are. Questions, comments, hisses or boos. Otherwise, we're moving forward. We're going to be driven. We're going to accomplish new things and continue to try to move the needle in life. I don't like not moving the needle. 2025 was an epic disaster in that regard. I just got setback after setback, failure after failure, and very little to show for it. And so it's time to turn that boat around. So I burned the boat, actually, instead of turning it around. I burned the boats and start from scratch. And this year, hopefully I have a lot of big releases. I'm working in AI quite a bit, personally, trying to do that. And I have a lot of other personal ambitions I'd like to see occur, including shooting, because I miss it desperately. I miss even reloading, one of my favorite things to do that most people hate doing. I enjoy reloading. And I sit right by my reloading desks. I have 2 of those plus my actual working desk. That's not here, obviously. But anyway, look forward to that, and we'll continue to forward forever, backward never. But I want to ask a couple questions at the end. Number 1, what'd you do this week to improve yourself? What'd you do this week to change your life, to move the needle? Because part of natural health, any health, I just call natural health because the medical industry, although it saved my life at many point in time, or earlier in my life, your health, your longevity starts with having really a focus and a mode of life to do something different. You can sit on the couch and watch football games because that's what you love to do. But what are you doing outside of that to move the needle? It is extremely important for your health. Having seen now countless clients, I can tell you that is number 1. Forward forever, backward never. Enjoy.